Yeah, some people do. It's never too late to start a new tradition, I always say. And each country and society has added their own dimensions to the celebrations around the Christmas season. New traditions are still being added at this time of the year, and the newest of the Christmas time, the Christmas season celebration is Kwanzaa. So many families have years of their family heritage to bring to holidays. But how many African American families did not have that choice to make? So many of us have, you see the advertisements on TV of tracing your family heritage. And so many of the African American community, that's been deprived from them. They can only go back so far because the rest of it just was lost. They were taken from their homelands. They had their cultures, their families, their religions, and even their names taken from them. It was not fair, but it's something we need to address, we need to be aware of, and we need to honor what these poor people went through to come to this country. But this is what Dr. Malana, calls himself Ron, Karenga researched. As professor and chair of the Black Studies at California State University at Long Beach, and executive director of the Institute of Pan-African Studies, he researched the festivals and harvest celebrations of Africa. And based on these ancient practices, he developed the celebration of Kwanzaa that began in the United States in December of 1966. So it's the newest celebration that comes at this time of the year. It lasts from December 26th through January 1st. Kwanzaa means first fruits. Dr. Karenga added an extra A to the end of the word to emphasize the number 7. There are 7 letters in Kwanzaa. But Kwanzaa lasts 7 days, has 7 candles, there are 7 principles, and the Harambe is said 7 times. Harambe is a Swahili word which means let's all pull together. Metaphysically, 7 means spiritual perfection or completion between our humanness and our divinity. So I always thought that was kind of a neat thing to add in there. Each night, a candle is lit on a kinara, which is kind of like the Jewish menorah, a 7-branch candelabrum as a way to mark awareness of each principle. Kwanzaa is a spiritual celebration designed for those of any race, culture, age, or social economic group. When I looked at the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, they are perfect for any spiritual group or church or group because they are so practical. They have such meaning of people coming together. Dr. Karenga addressed the idea that there are 2 basic groups of Africans. One group still lives in Africa, and the second group are part of what I call an African diaspora, just like the Jewish diaspora that happened in 70 AD when the Romans destroyed the Jerusalem and the Second Temple and took the Jews into slavery throughout the Roman world. Well, the Africans were sent into slavery in the New World. So it's a very similar idea. Most of the people came from West Africa. A lot of the terms that Dr. Karenga used are from Swahili, which are actually more Eastern Africa. But they all still have great meaning. Dr. Karenga went to the core beliefs that were taught in Africa as means of reawakening the positive core values that were once taught that had been lost. The principles that are taught are very ancient and they're also very empowering. They apply to any group of people, especially if you have a varied background, because these are so symbolic that they can bring people of a variety of background together in a common theme. They apply to a racial group with diverse backgrounds, or as I said, even a church group. These principles are basic and they are mirrored in the teachings of New Thought as well. Let's look at the principles, or the Nguzo Saba, from our perspective as a church or a religious group. We call ourselves a spiritual group. Now, just work with me as I pronounce these words, and if you have a better pronunciation, please let me know. My Swahili is not that good, but I will do my best. The first word is emoja, which means unity. to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. That doesn't mean that we are of one mind, but that we're able to work together as a spiritual community to move our church forward, our organization forward. Everyone operates from feelings and needs. What can get in the way of unity is when our expression of what we're feeling and what we're needing comes out in ways that actually alienate others. So it's looking at healthy ways that we can come together and work together and express what's going on inside of us so that it brings people together. Finding new healthy ways of expressing ourselves and understanding others brings unity. All right, pray for me on this one. Kujichigulia? Is that, I'm saying that right?
I have no idea.
Okay. Kujichigulia. Anyway, it's self-determination.
Yes.
Okay.
We can say that, but you want to look at this word, see how well you do with it. So, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, and created for and spoken for by others. This is like getting off judgment. We define ourselves. We define ourselves every Sunday, don't we? When we say our mission statement, that we came together as a community and we say, this is who we are. And everything we do comes back to be connected to, are we fulfilling our mission? All the activities that we are responsible for come into the light of our mission statement. Because that is who we are here to be. That's who we've defined ourselves to be. The next one is Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and get involved with each other. How many people just show up on Sundays and go home? Doesn't work. We are here to be part of something greater, so you get involved with each other. Get to know each other. We're a great group here. Throughout this next year, many of us will see that things need to be done in our community. And I love it when someone comes up to me and says, well, why don't we just do so-and-so? The answer is, you got the divine tap. I see you have, Carol O'Connell taught me this, I see you have energy around that. So what are you going to do about that? Another, Robin Volker, who I just found out Robin Volker has been hired by Unity of Gainesville. They've got a minister up there. But Robin puts it another way. She goes, you got the divine tap, not me. So if you see that something needs to be done, what energy are you willing to put into it to see it come into fruition? Melanie would be thrilled. The board would be thrilled. Because there's so much that we need to do as a community and that we can do as a community. But again, it takes many, many hands. The next one is Ujamaa, cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses to profit from them together. Every time we take an offering, that is what I would call cooperative economics for our community. Every time you go to a class and you give a tithe, every time you share from your abundance with our community, that is cooperative economics. And it takes that to keep a community going. So bless each time you have the opportunity to give, because it's something that's necessary for every community. And believe me, I was laughing with Linda Wynn about what it takes to spend hours on QuickBooks trying to get everything balanced. And I went through that up at Unity of Gainesville. I was the minister there. We had an accountant that didn't know how to use QuickBooks. Oh Lord, 11 o'clock at night, I'm still working on the finances. I thought, well, I'm an intelligent person. I can balance a checkbook. Surely I can figure out QuickBooks. It was a little slower project than I thought. But Linda's had to do the same thing. Because at one time, I think there was 5 people inputting stuff into it. And so she's had to go back, and I just put my arms around her and said, I know. I really know. You want it to be right because it's our economics. We want everything to be proper so that when we give out a report, you know that the community has handled your funds responsibly. And she is doing that because she and I've had many conversations about that. So it's a cooperative thing. It's a cooperative economics, and we're all participating together. The fifth principle is NIA, or purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore people to greatness. In order to restore, it's living from that divine principle, because we're all here to be great. We are all here to live as God's children. We are a spiritual community in Roswell, and I always remember one of the men, that I heard for doing a church growth, and he said, if your community or your church didn't exist tomorrow, who in your city would care? Who would care that we're not here? That way you can judge, are you being responsible about helping your community, and what you've done with the Children's Restoration Network. My heavens, Joe. They care that we're here, and you've said that many times, how much they appreciate what we've done. We may be a small community, but we do have impact, just showing up and caring, just showing up and being there, reaching out to our neighbors, doing as many programs as we can so people care that we're here. I saw our banner out there. And it was real big, and I thought, yeah, that's my little bugaboo. People need to know we're here, and then they need to care that we're here. And that's living from our purpose and making sure our purpose is shared with our community. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, to really to succeed, we must have some great purpose in mind, some goal toward which we are here to work. And that's what we have. We've had many things that we've done. I mean, even letting go of the church building, that was huge. It was too much building for who we are. So we got together and we're kind of starting over. But imagine the potential. Everything is possible for us right now. So this is an exciting time to be here, because we have no idea what's going to come up next. And that leads to the next principle. Kumbha, creativity. To do always as much as we can, in the way we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. What we want to do is take care of the bookstore so that they love having us here, and I think they do. Because we take good care of this place. We also want to take good care of our community so that we can honor the land, our building, our neighbors, and each other. Emily Cady wrote, to create is to bring into visibility, to form something where before there was nothing. It's having a community blossom from the inside out. So we bring creativity into it. And the last principle is imani, faith. To have faith with all of our hearts in the people that are here, in our families, our teachers, our leaders, and everyone involved with our community. Faith embodies hope, belief, trust, and expectancy. With faith, all things are possible. Yeah, all things are possible. Get to the next page. These are the principles of Kwanzaa. They're the principles for our spiritual community as we grow and evolve going into 2016. The word Harambe in Swahili, which means let's all pull together. This is done by everyone raising their right hand and together making a downward motion, pull motion with much vigor, saying Harambe, and doing it 7 times. So let's see those hands. Are you ready? 7 times. Harambe, 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 Harambe. Let's all pull together for 2016. So in place of our meditation, we're going to actually do a Kwanzaa celebration, ceremony as we begin letting go of 2015 and moving into 2016. We want to honor those that have passed in 2015. And the way that they do that is by pouring a libation. And it is an African tradition to pour libation at all special occasions. At a Kwanzaa celebration here at One World Spiritual Center is such an occasion. We pour libation out of love and respect for those who once lived in physical form. And this is what I was talking about with Aunt Harriet. Those who loved and served, those who laid a strong foundation for us and upon whose shoulders we stand. We also honor those who have made their transition to the next life experience. We pour water, a necessary life-giving and sustaining substance, into rich, potent soil, but we're pouring it into a bowl. Just as the water nurtures and supports growth in the soil, so too do our ancestors support and nurture us. So those who we love who have passed and nurture as well, we're going to honor this morning. As a group, let's say each name, and I invite you to respond with the word Ashe, which means it is so. Let's try saying that. Ashe. And Melanie, I'm going to ask you that. I got water here.
Yeah, I'll get it.
And if you can just pour a little bit in there each time when I acknowledge some aspect of those that we're honoring this morning. So, and then afterwards, after each, just a little bit of water. And afterwards we say Ashe. Okay? Let us pour libation for all of our homelands, whether they are in Africa, Europe, Asia, or any of the countries that our ancestors left to come to this country. Ashe. We pour libation for our ancestors who made the journey here. Let's pour the water. Ashe. We pour libation for the journey that they made. Ashe. Let's acknowledge our families. We pour libation for our ancestors who lived in this country. Ashe. We pour libation for all who lived before us. Ashe. Let us acknowledge those who made their transitions this year. We pour libation for all those who lost their lives in Iraq, Afghanistan, or any place serving our country around the world. Ashe. We pour libation for all those in our church and our families who made this transition this year. We also pour a libation for those who have been victims of any terrorist act anywhere around the world. Ashe. Now, are there anyone that would like to come up and pour a libation for someone that you know who has passed this year? And then we'll join together and say Ashe. Melanie, you want to start? For your mom, you want to say who?
For my mom, Jolene Air, Ashe.
Ashe.
Our Aunt Harriet Rosenberg and our cousin Dennis Dickens.
Ashe. Anybody else have someone? I'd like to add, since she's not here, Linda Wynn's nephew,
Yeah,
that he passed this year.
for Kevin.
For Kevin. Ashe.
And for Linda Wynn's uncle, who passed away last week.
Ashe.
My uncle Juan.
Ashe. Ashe.
For Miriam Marks.
Ashe. Anybody else? Anything on this? I'd also like to let us acknowledge that we would like to release some things in our lives that we don't want to carry over. Whether it's fear, doubt, judgment, anger, you do not need to describe the situation, just know that there may be some feelings that's holding you back. So let's say Ashe after we say each one. So let's start letting go of fear. Ashe. Letting go of judgment. Letting go of anger. Letting go of disappointment. Letting go of frustration. Letting go of resentment. And now as we close, let's affirm together, pass on now to higher ground. Together, pass on now to higher ground. And with one final ashe together. Ashe. And so it is.